Ethan had never imagined that a single day could change his life so completely. The sky over the alien city shimmered with colors he had never seen before, waves of violet and emerald light dancing across towering crystal buildings. He had come as a medic, part of a small human delegation sent to assist in medical research and peacekeeping on this planet. He had expected routine work, helping the alien population adapt to minor human medicine. Instead, he found himself running toward chaos. The city had erupted into panic. Alarms blared as the ground trembled under the weight of speeding vehicles and flying machines. Ethan didn't have time to understand what was happening. He only knew someone needed help. And then he saw him. King Thalor, ruler of this alien world, lay on the marble steps of his palace, blood spreading across his green-scaled chest. His eyes flickered weakly, searching the chaos for a savior. Without hesitation, Ethan jumped forward. Alien guards tried to stop him, shouting words he could not understand. He ignored them, kneeling beside the king. The air smelled strange, a mix of burning metal and alien flora. Ethan's hands moved quickly, assessing wounds and adjusting alien life support devices he barely understood. His heart raced, but his mind was steady. Every move had to be precise. For hours he worked. He patched wounds with a combination of human knowledge and intuitive use of alien technology. The king groaned, and Ethan's focus never wavered. In that moment, it didn't matter that he was a human, an outsider. Nothing mattered except keeping this life alive. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the king's breathing stabilized and color returned to his scales. Ethan slumped back, exhausted but relieved. As the palace guards looked on in awe, one figure approached slowly. She had silver hair that shimmered like starlight, and her eyes were sharp, filled with defiance. Lyra, the king's daughter, was known across the city for her rebellious behavior. She had ignored countless royal duties and humiliated her father in front of dignitaries. People whispered that she was unattractive, awkward, and impossible to control. Yet as she looked at Ethan, there was curiosity in her eyes. You saved him," she said finally, her voice sharp but tinged with disbelief. "A human actually saved my father." Ethan wiped sweat from his forehead, offering a small, awkward smile. "I just did what anyone would do. Someone was hurt. I helped." Lyra's lips twitched as if she wanted to mock him, but she didn't. Instead, she stared at him, trying to understand how this human could remain calm when the king's life had been in such danger. There was something different about him. He did not flinch, did not demand rewards or recognition. He simply acted. As King Thalor slowly recovered, Ethan stayed close, monitoring vital signs and adjusting treatments. The king had trusted few, but he began to rely on this human in ways he had never relied on anyone outside his family. He watched as Ethan moved with careful efficiency, and a strange feeling grew within him. Respect. Not just for the human's skill, but for his courage. Lyra, on the other hand, remained skeptical. She watched from the shadows, arms crossed, hiding both curiosity and irritation. She had lived all her life feeling misunderstood, trapped in a palace that demanded perfection she could never achieve. Now this human had appeared, unafraid, calm, and competent. She didn't like admitting it, but she found herself intrigued. Days passed, and Ethan continued his work, helping the king regain strength. He treated not only physical wounds, but also illnesses that had plagued the alien royal family for generations. Each day, he grew more comfortable with alien technology and anatomy, using his human intuition to solve problems that others thought impossible. Lyra began to approach him, slowly at first. She would ask questions about treatments, making sarcastic comments that Ethan ignored or answered patiently. Their conversations were strange at first, filled with friction and misunderstanding. Lyra mocked his human appearance, his lack of scale immunity, and even his simple clothes. Ethan, in turn, treated her honestly and respectfully, never letting her sharp words affect his work. One day the child appeared. Lyra's son, small and fragile, had been injured in the same attack that wounded the king. His greenish skin was marred with bruises and burns. Lyra panicked as she watched him struggle to breathe. Ethan acted immediately, lifting the child into his arms and examining him carefully. "This is serious," he said, voice calm but firm. "We need to act now." Lyra stepped back, unsure how to respond. Her usual confidence faltered as she watched Ethan work. Hours passed, and when the child finally stirred and smiled weakly at her, Lyra felt an unfamiliar warmth. This human, who had been so ordinary to her at first glance, had saved not only her father but her child. The bond between Ethan and Lyra slowly deepened. They spent hours together in the palace infirmary, sharing small conversations, learning from each other. Lyra discovered that Ethan had a sharp mind, quick reflexes, and an unwavering sense of right and wrong. He never judged her for her rebelliousness or appearance. He treated her like a person, not a royal title. King Thalor watched all of this quietly. He had always been proud of his daughter, but also frustrated by her defiance. Yet now he saw a way to ensure her future, and perhaps his own peace of mind. His life had been saved by a human, a creature he had once thought fragile and insignificant. The human had proven courage, skill, and loyalty beyond any alien in his court. One evening, as Ethan completed his rounds, the king summoned him. The chamber was grand, walls decorated with glowing crystals and intricate carvings. Thalor's presence was imposing, yet his gaze was sincere. "Human," the king said, voice low but commanding, "you have saved my life. You have saved my daughter's child. For that you have my respect, and I offer you something no human has ever received on this world." Ethan straightened, unsure what the king meant. I only did what anyone would do, Your Majesty." Thalor's eyes softened. "It is more than that. You have acted with courage, wisdom, and heart. Therefore I entrust to you my daughter Lyra and her child. I give them to you, not as a punishment or exile, but as a gift, a chance for a life of freedom, away from court rules and expectations." Ethan froze. His mind raced. To take responsibility for an alien princess and her child was unthinkable, but he also felt a deep sense of duty. This was not just about obligation. It was about protecting lives, ensuring safety, and doing what was right. Lyra, who had been standing behind the king, looked as if she had been struck. Her usual sarcasm was gone, replaced by shock, confusion, and a spark of something unfamiliar. Hope. She had never imagined that her father would make such a decision, let alone entrust her to a human. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice trembling. What does this mean?" "It means," Ethan said carefully, looking at both Lyra and her child, "that I will protect you. I will keep you safe, but I don't know what the future holds beyond this moment. We will have to find our way together." Lyra swallowed hard, realizing that her life was about to change forever. She would leave the palace, the people who judged her constantly, and the world she had always known. And yet, for the first time, she felt a strange sense of relief. Ethan was human, yes, but he was kind, brave, and honest. Perhaps with him she could finally breathe. The next morning, preparations began. Ethan packed medical supplies and provisions for their journey. Lyra carefully gathered belongings for herself and her child. Guards watched silently, unsure whether to intervene, but the king had made his decision. No one would stop this. As they stepped out of the palace gates, Ethan felt a mixture of apprehension and resolve. He knew that life outside the city would be challenging. Aliens and humans rarely mixed in such ways, and there were dangers that neither Lyra nor he fully understood. But he also knew one truth: courage and compassion could bridge worlds. Lyra held her child close, glancing at Ethan. For the first time, she did not mock him or hide her true feelings. Instead, there was trust, however fragile. Together, they stepped into the unknown, leaving behind the life they had always known. The sky above shimmered with alien light, promising both danger and hope. And so a human medic, a rebellious princess, and her child began their journey together, bound not by obligation but by trust, courage, and the quiet hope that they could create a life of their own. Ethan had saved a king, but he had also started something much larger, the beginning of an unlikely family that could change the course of two worlds. The adventure had only just begun. The Academy orbited a bright blue star, a floating city of glass and metal stretching farther than anyone could see. Ships from dozens of planets arrived daily, bringing students of every shape, color, and size. Among them, humans were rare. Most species whispered stories about their strange habits, their loud voices, and their curious minds. But humans had courage that even the oldest alien civilizations could not deny. Ethan had been looking forward to the Academy for months. He was not the strongest or the fastest human, but he had something the other students did not expect: curiosity and courage. The moment he stepped into the main classroom, he felt the weight of dozens of alien eyes on him. Most stared with polite curiosity, but a few narrowed their eyes as if judging him. He tried not to care. He had come to learn, not to impress. At the far corner of the room, a girl sat alone. She was tall for her age, with shimmering violet skin and hair that seemed to shift color slightly under the classroom lights. But what made her most noticeable was the faint mist that surrounded her, a scent that no human or alien could ignore. Students wrinkled their noses and stepped away as she entered. Whispers filled the air, rising like a tide around her. "She smells strange," one whispered in a language Ethan didn't understand. "She is dangerous," another added, but the words carried no real threat, just fear. Ethan watched as the girl hesitated, scanning the room, and finally lowered herself into the empty seat. Her name, he remembered from the registration list, was Lyra. Her large eyes darted around nervously, and she wrapped her hands around her knees, as if trying to make herself invisible. Most of the students shifted their seats away from her, leaving a wide, empty space around her chair. Ethan frowned. The smell was strong, yes, unusual, but it was not unpleasant. There was something warm about it, almost familiar. It reminded him of home, the forests of earth, the smell of wet soil after rain, the scent of herbs in his grandmother's garden. Most of the academy would see it as strange, maybe even dangerous, but to him, it was comforting. When the teacher entered, a tall insectoid figure with multiple arms and bright green eyes, Ethan chose a seat directly beside Lyra. A few students whispered behind his back, but he ignored them. He gave her a small, friendly smile. "Hi," he said softly. "I'm Ethan. Can I sit here?" Lyra froze. No one had approached her like this. Most avoided her as if she were contagious. She blinked, unsure if he was mocking her. "You want to sit here?" she asked cautiously. Ethan shrugged. "Sure, I don't mind your scent, actually. It reminds me of home." Her eyes widened. For a moment, she just stared at him, not sure if he was joking. Then a small smile tugged at her lips. No one had ever said anything like that before. "You really mean that?" she asked softly. "Yeah," he said. "It's nice. Warm, in a way. Don't worry about what others think." Lyra's shoulders relaxed for the first time since she entered the classroom. She had spent so long hiding, trying not to bother anyone, trying to be invisible. But here was a human sitting beside her, treating her like she was normal. The class began, but Lyra's attention kept drifting to Ethan. Every now and then, she glanced at him, still cautious but curious. He scribbled notes carefully, never staring at her too much, never making her feel uncomfortable. It was simple, respectful kindness, but for Lyra, it felt like a lifeline. During a break, students crowded around the refreshments area. Many avoided Lyra entirely. Some even moved to a different table when she approached, but Ethan followed her, holding a tray with his own food. "Do you want something?" he asked. She hesitated. I don't think anyone will let me near the table," she said quietly. Ethan laughed softly. "Don't worry. I don't mind. Come sit with me." They found a quiet corner away from the stairs. Lyra took a small sip from her drink, watching him carefully. "Why are you being nice to me?" she asked. "No one else." "No one else ever is," Ethan shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe because I know what it feels like to be different. Back on Earth, people stared at me because of my accent, my skin, my eyes, stuff like that. I learned that being different isn't bad. Sometimes it's good." Lyra considered this. "Good?" she asked, tilting her head. "Yeah," he said. "You have a gift. Your senses, your strength, the way you notice things others don't. It's amazing. You shouldn't hide it." For the first time in a long while, Lyra felt seen. Not just noticed, but truly seen. She gave him a small nod and a faint smile. The next week passed slowly. The academy was demanding, with classes in alien languages, combat training, and survival skills. Lyra tried her best to keep up, but her isolation weighed on her. Other students whispered, laughed behind her back, or avoided her entirely. Yet Ethan stayed by her side. He offered encouragement during exercises, shared food, and even helped her with alien math and language drills. Slowly, other students began to notice. If Ethan could sit beside her without fear, perhaps she was not so dangerous after all. One afternoon, an announcement echoed through the academy speakers. The students were to participate in a survival challenge on an uninhabited planet. Each pair would be evaluated on teamwork, intelligence, and courage. The results would affect their standing at the academy. When the list of pairs was posted, Lyra froze. She scanned the names until she found hers paired with Ethan. Relief and fear mingled in her chest. Relief because she would not be alone. Fear because she knew everyone would watch them closely. If they failed, it would not just be a mark against her. It would confirm what the other students already thought, that she was strange. Weak or dangerous, looks like we're partners, Ethan said, grinning. Guess we'll have to survive together. Lyra nodded silently, unsure how to respond. She had spent her life avoiding attention, and now she would be in the spotlight. But Ethan's calm confidence gave her courage. For the first time, she felt that she might actually belong somewhere. The day of the challenge arrived. The shuttle descended onto a planet covered in dense forests and jagged cliffs. The air was thick, humid, and filled with the scent of wet earth and alien flowers. Ethan and Lyra stepped off the shuttle, scanning the environment. Other pairs rushed ahead, eager to prove themselves, but Ethan took a deep breath and looked at Lyra. "Don't worry," he said. "We'll take it slow, watch each other's backs." "Ready?" Lyra nodded. The strange scent that had made others recoil now mixed with the earthy aroma of the planet. She felt strangely at home. Maybe, she thought, being different was not so bad after all. The first obstacle came quickly, a narrow cliff path with sharp rocks below. Most pairs stumbled, panicked, or argued. Ethan held Lyra's hand as they moved carefully, guiding her and trusting her instincts to point out unstable sections. When they reached the other side safely, a small cheer escaped her lips. "You did that well," Ethan said with a smile. "See? Nothing to worry about." They continued through the forest. Lyra's heightened senses detected dangerous plants and hidden predators long before Ethan noticed. He, in turn, showed her how to use the environment to their advantage, creating traps, finding clean water, and identifying safe paths. Their skills complemented each other perfectly. As the sun began to set, they found a sheltered area to rest. Lyra stared at the sky, the twin moons rising over the alien horizon. For the first time, she didn't feel like an outcast. "Ethan, thank you," she said softly, "for sitting with me, for being kind." He shrugged, sitting beside her. "You don't need to thank me. I like being around you. You make me see things differently. Your scent. It reminds me of home. It's comforting." Lyra smiled, a genuine wide smile that reached her eyes. The world was big and strange, but maybe there was a place for her after all. And maybe, just maybe, humans were braver than she had imagined. As night fell, the sounds of alien creatures echoed around them. Ethan and Lyra sat quietly, their shoulders brushing, feeling safer together than they had ever felt alone. The challenge was only beginning, but already they had found a bond stronger than fear, stronger than judgment. And for Lyra, it was the first time she felt truly alive. The Academy's observers would watch closely in the coming days. Other students would whisper, stare, and doubt. But Ethan and Lyra had something no one could take away: the courage to accept each other, to trust each other, and to face the unknown together.